In the book Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he says that flow is the optimal human experience. And it isn't too far from default either. See, usually when we can't get into flow, when we can't lock in on the task at hand, it's not because we don't have the correct setup. It's not because we don't have things inside of us, that would make us able to lock in. It's usually the opposite. It's usually that we have something blocking us from locking in. We have distractions around us. We don't have the correct mental attitude. We have things that are blocking us, but not because we lack something. It's the entire opposite, because we can't eliminate all of the distractions from our area. So how do we do that? There's a very important step before that I have to tell you about, but I promise that's all we're going to talk about today. Only 2 steps. I could say these are the top fucking 7 habits or something if you want to lock in and become productive, because I would probably do better for the algorithm, but that's not the case. It's shockingly unproductive, and you need 2 things if you want to be actually productive. And it's not all of this shit. It's mostly this shit, but a bit more understanding. This is just for the thumbnail, because I thought it looked cool. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to have a task which you're actually pulled to, because that's fucking crazy for most people, because we like talking about discipline so much in this online space, but discipline isn't normal. And I'm going to say that again, because that probably shocked you. Discipline isn't normal. The normal state is wanting to do what's good for you. If you understand with your rational mind that working is good for you because it will get you where you want to go, or just because you like it, it would be logical for you to want to do that thing, no? Why is it that you always fight against it? And one good reason for this, one very, very good explanation, is the self-determination theory. The self-determination theory, you've probably heard of it before, or at least you haven't heard of it, but you've probably felt it. You know that feeling when you try to get ahead of yourself that day, and you're like, okay, I'm going to get home, and you know what? I'm feeling kind of generous today. I'm going to do the dishes before anyone else in my flat tells me to. And then someone comes around and fucking ruins your day by telling you to do the dishes. Now you're like, I was going to do the dishes, but now I'm not going to fucking do it because you told me to, and now it's not my choice anymore. Well, that's part of the self-determination theory, because the number one thing is autonomy. Understanding this will take us more towards intrinsic motivation. If this is a scale of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, this is, I'm only doing it for the money and I'm struggling to do it and I don't know, This is extrinsic. And intrinsic being, I really want to do this and I just feel a natural pull to do it. This is mostly motivation. Autonomy is the number one thing that you have to pay attention to, because if you're not autonomous, you're not making the decision that you're going to do this thing because you want to, it's going to be kind of hard. Now, I'm not saying you always have to have this. I'm not going to disrespect anyone. There are times in life, I very well know myself, that you just can't. You just can't afford to do what you want. Life isn't always like that. I get it. But if you can actually have like a plan for the future and move into that direction where you can actually make your work, especially revolving around things that you want to do, that's extremely nice, because that is the most important thing for actually being motivated in doing the thing. And you can make this, by the way, almost whatever, as long as you do everything that I'm going to tell you in this video. So autonomy is the number one thing. The second one is relatedness. Relatedness is basically feeling like you have good company around you. If you have people that you really want to work with and you just want to be around, you're going to have no trouble locking in and working with them, because those are probably the most gratifying and most pleasurable moments in our lives, when we're surrounded by people that we like and that we like having like a same goal to strive towards. You know, when we're playing like team sports, this really comes out when we're actually around people who are near our skill level. We have some level of autonomy, but the most important thing is in this part that we actually like them, that we actually like playing with them, we actually like working with them, we actually like being around them. Because if you don't, sure, again, you can be a lone wolf. I'm not going to say that this is always present and it has to always be present, but it's a very, very nice thing to have. And if you can do these two, and the final thing, which is actually competence, you're going to move yourself as left as possible on this scale of intrinsic to extrinsic motivation, because competence basically says that you're good at the thing. If you're good at the thing, you have people around you that you like working with, and you choose to be there by your own free will, or at least in the thing you have some autonomy in what you're going to do, and you have some sort of creative vision and output into the thing, you're going to be so fucking motivated. You're going to work so well, and not only are you going to work more, but your output is going to be much better, because they found in the self-determination theory that people who have extrinsic output and they are motivated by extrinsic things such as money and status and stuff like that, they don't do as good work. And I'm guessing that's not a surprise to you, because this is really how you should move forward. So productivity really consists of this as the first thing. And I'm going to move on to the second one right away. I'm not going to waste any of your time. So as long as you can be autonomous to some level at least, or even if you're not 100% autonomous, at least have the ability to say when you work, maybe where you work, have people around you that you really like, or at least you like working with, and competence, actually be good at the thing. And of course, some of this is built, so you're not just going to find some job that you're super good at or like already, and you already like the people around you, and you're 100% autonomous. You kind of have to get like promotions, or even if you start a business, you kind of have to grow it up to a certain level where you can start making your own hours, you can start liking the people around you because you've grown with them, you can start being good at the thing because you've practiced it. So don't expect for this to just fall into your lap. You actually have to grind towards it. But this as a goal is an incredibly good, like these are good KPIs, if you will. These are very good things to work towards if you can actually understand that this is pretty much what consists of motivation. And then once you're kind of motivated to do the thing, well, first of all, you have to beat procrastination, which I'm not really going to talk about because I have 1,000 videos on procrastination already. I have one just titled procrastination, I'm pretty sure. It should be popping up on the screen right now if you want to check it out. But realistically, after we've checked procrastination off and we're motivated and we start working, the only thing left is to work, right? But still, so many people fuck this up. So we're going to talk about elimination, which isn't too much of a commonplace topic in this niche because, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why people haven't come to the same conclusion, because people like to say, oh, you need this app, you need this plugin, oh, pay for my software, I promise it's not an affiliate link, buy this gadget, and they're trying to sell you shit when that's the opposite of what you need. You need to remove things because, as I said, the optimal human experience is flow, and you're not far from it. As you're born, if you're interested in the shit, you should already be in flow. The problem is that you usually try to move towards the thing, this is you try to move towards the thing, which is your work, and then you're blocked. And whatever the thing may be, it's usually something outside of you which blocks you, you know. Maybe you don't have time, maybe you don't have energy, maybe someone tells you not to do the thing. Something happens. By default, you want to do it and you would be fine with doing it, but something usually happens along the way. So you beat procrastination, you want to do the thing, and you end up working, but something fucking happens. What can happen? Can we logically think through it? Okay, well, the first thing that can happen is you have the wrong environment. Most importantly, wrong digital environment. The wrong digital environment can be dissected into two parts. Number one is your laptop or PC. And the second one is your phone. Now, if you start working, it's incredibly easy to be distracted. Money is literally the same as attention nowadays. People pay so much money for your attention. If you're not in the marketing space, this should be like mind-blowing to you, because people pay so much money just to get your attention onto a product that they have no guarantee for that you're going to even interact with. They are paying a lot of money right now, and that is the case of it, and it's only going to get worse. So just by the fact that how many advertisements you see every single day, you should already know this kind of subconsciously. You know, every single time you watch a football match, you go out on the street, you go on your laptop, anywhere you see advertisements all the time, because your attention is fucking valuable. And the reason they have found this to be the case is because they can sell you shit if you look at it. But the thing is, it's super hard not to look at logos right now, because I have logos even in my room. I have a logo on this pen, I have a logo on my laptop, I have multiple logos on my laptop, and it's not just stickers I put onto it. Everywhere there's logos, everywhere there's fights for your attention, and even a lot of methods of kind of putting their logos in front of you are ingrained in laptops and PCs. For example, notifications are often promotions and marketing and shit like this, and we just let them because, you know, why not? We download an app for one reason, and then they push everything in front of us. So if you have some random notifications enabled, if they don't serve you, what the fuck? Like, why are you enabling random notifications, especially on your PC? The only thing that you should be notified about on your PC is pretty much like a reminder or like an alarm clock. But even that isn't entirely needed. The other thing is, what does your home screen look like? Are you voluntarily distracting yourself? Because be honest, like, it's your fault if you have random games on your home screen. You want to play, yeah, sure, okay, but why does your PC look like a fucking gamer's? Why does your PC still have random apps on the home screen which you're just going to get distracted by? I remember the game that, I don't know, Ronaldo played yesterday. Okay, yeah, what was the score? Can we check the score real quick? Like, shit like this, why does it happen? Like, you can check the score. I don't mind that. You can live a life. I'm not going to tell you to be a fucking locked-in monk and work 14 hours a day and disconnect from social life, because I struggle with those type of people, if you couldn't tell already. But while you're working, just fucking give yourself the courtesy of focus and block out all distractions. So home screen, notifications, 100% optimized. Furthermore, within your browser, You can literally use incognito. A lot of people use incognito because realistically for work, you're only going to have to use like a few apps. Is it that hard to type in the password every time? No. Okay, you don't have to use incognito because I personally don't either. But the thing is, if you already have autofill for every single website that you shouldn't be on, it's super easy to go on them, right? So another thing you could do if you don't want to use incognito is use some sort of web blocker. Now, I am mostly against web blockers because I believe that if you have the trigger to go on the website first, that's a problem. But if you just want to get like a quick win, which isn't going to solve the problem, but it is going to make it harder for you to go, and you really don't want to use incognito for some fucking reason, you could use a web blocker also. Now, another thing you can do is take care of your bookmarks. Usually you have a bunch of shit saved here, like the weather, like Gmail. And the thing is, while you're working, you're usually not like bound to check these things. You shouldn't be, at least. Why is it normal that you're randomly scrolling on Instagram while you're supposed to be in a work block? Because it's so easy to log into Instagram. As I said, you can do incognito, you can use a web blocker, or you can just not have it easy to access. You can have a setting which clears your data, your cookies and shit like that once you exit your session. Or you could have something where it's just not like on your fast. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest. But you know, when you load up your browser, there's a bunch of apps there right away, which you usually use. Like, that just makes it so much easier for you to go on the thing, even when you don't want to. Or you have bookmarks, for example. So all of these settings, which essentially make your life worse by making it easier, will make your life worse by making it, easier, because they think that it's good for you that you can check these things that you go on quite often. But what if you don't want to? What if you're actually a work block? Doesn't make any sense for you to go on these websites. So make sure your laptop and your PC is actually cleared up. And this goes as far as actually organizing your folders as well. Because if you don't have your folders organized, it's just going to be so much harder. This is like a bit ADHD-ish, and I like to actually be on top of my shit. And although I have like a tendency to name files, random things, throw them all over the place, I've been forcing myself to actually organize nowadays, and it really has helped me quite a lot, because now I don't spend random time going into random folders. And also, not only does it like save you time if you know where one thing is, you're actually going to be much less likely to distract yourself if you're not going into random folders, because you might go into your downloads and look at the game that you downloaded yesterday, and I wonder if this patch is out, or you might see an image even, and that might distract you. Literally anything could distract you nowadays. But I digress. That's mainly most of what we should talk about on PCs. Just make it harder for your future self to get distracted. That's the bottom line of this section. If you can just think about, before your work block for a few seconds, what is it that will go wrong in this work session? And if you can answer that question honestly, you should be good. The second part is your phone environment. This is a big thing, and it's going to be much the same. Your home screen should not have any apps on it that you don't want to go on. I repeat, not any apps that you don't want to go on. If you want to go on Instagram, fine, you can. You can uninstall it, but the thing is, you're realistically going to find a reason to go on it. You're realistically going to find a reason to check out what a friend's doing, to reply to a DM. So I would recommend just making it harder to access. Now, if you can make it harder to access, you will usually do it consciously. You will be like, oh shit, I have to use Instagram, and if you don't have it anyway, you have to type it in or open it from the App Store or some shit. It's going to be much harder for you to ADHD click on it randomly without being even fucking conscious of it in the first place, right? So make sure your home screen is organized. Actually have apps there that you want to use. Now, I have to put a caveat out into this, because most people will remove Instagram, and they will remove Twitter, but now their next most dopaminergically activating app will be Gmail. And although Gmail seems productive because it's in the productivity section, and yes guys, it's still not useful, because checking your emails will now become the new thing that you do every single minute or every 5 minutes. And there are a bunch of studies on this. Corporate workers, especially white collar workers, check their emails like every 10 minutes. When they're supposed to be working. And by the way, guys, if you think this is not a problem, let me tell you about attention residue. You think going out of focus, let's say this is a graph of focus, you're at the top, and then you go out of focus, and then you spend 2 minutes replying to a text, then you go instantly back into focus. This is nowhere near the reality. Holy shit, it was a voice crack. It was weird. Whatever. So you're at the top of your focus. It looks more like this. You have to build it back up, because it's just like falling asleep. You don't instantly fall asleep. You go through phases. You're like half awake, half asleep. You're kind of groggy, you're kind of drowsy, you're feeling sleepy, etc., and then you fall asleep. And it's the same thing with focus, because you're absolutely unfocused here. And just because you go back onto your computer and you click around, you're still thinking about the text Sarah left you. still thinking about if it was W Riz what you replied with. You're still thinking about, is she going to respond? Oh yeah, she might have responded. And then fucking 5 minutes later you check again, and then the focus goes down to nothing again. So having these distractions not only distracts you for 2 minutes, but it's more like 15, which Cal Newport talks about this in Deep Work. It's much, much, much worse than you think it is. So every single distraction that you're paying for, no matter where it comes from, you're paying exponentially. And every single time you get distracted, that also might cause another reaction, which is just such a tragedy. So on your phone, you have your home screen. On your phone, you have just literally tap to awaken or tap to unlock or some setting like this, especially on iPhones. I know you can just tap the screen, or you don't even have to tap it. Sometimes you pick it up and it unlocks. I've disabled this day one because I understood that this is absolutely cancerous. We get these urges all the time, which are, the urge might be this strong, the urge might be this strong, the urge might be this strong, the urge might be this strong. If our bar of how easy your phone is to access, how easy the urge is to indulge in is super low, like it's here, you're gonna indulge in it most of the time, right? But if you can raise your bar of how easy the thing is to indulge in by making your phone harder to access, maybe it's a different room, which we're going to talk about later, or even if it's like near you, if you tap it, it doesn't unlock. If you press it, you still have to press the passcode in. Face recognition isn't turned on. And then if you even open it, then it's not on your home screen, and then you have to browse for it and shit like that. That does this. That brings the friction much, much higher. That makes it much harder for you to actually access the thing once you make the conscious decision that you must do so. So even if you make these kind of decisions, first of all, you should work on getting less urges. That's a topic for another day. But even if you get the urges, just make it harder for yourself to access. So that's exactly what we're doing here by environment design. So home screen, tap to unlock, tap to or pick up awaken or whatever the fuck that setting's called. That's something that you need to disable. And then you can also download like ad blockers. It's the same thing that I said with PC. The main problem is the urges, but also if you can just make it harder for yourself, you might as well. It's not that big of a deal. And anything else that you could realistically think of, these are the main ones in my opinion. Oh shit, I forgot notifications. That is the biggest one probably. Notifications, yeah, this is huge. You're literally giving people access to you at any time. That's literally minus 10,000 aura, minus 10,000 self-respect. If you don't even give other people access to you at every single time. You don't even reply text that often, do you? Yet every single time fucking Uber Eats want to tell you about their minus 10% discount, you listen to it. You give them the permission to, oh yes, disturb me, yes. Even in my work block, yes, please do. No, it doesn't make any sense. The only I don't even have that on, never mind. Yeah, I don't think I have any notifications on, to be fair. I have Google Calendar for when I have like a appointment, but that only sends me notification every like week or so. Maybe SMS, but I don't really use SMS. I can't really think of anything that I have notifications on that I actually use. So like my phone never gets notifications, and I'm not capping here. And it's on mute, by the way, so it's quite hard to reach me. But the thing is, I still respond. I still pride myself with actually being somewhat available, because I think that's important to do. And I check my phone every few hours between work blocks. But while I'm working, fuck no. And of course, if something urgent happens, every single modern phone has this double dial feature built into it nowadays, where if they dial you right away twice with very, very short gap in between, it will ring. If you didn't know that, that's the thing. So you don't have to worry about, oh no, what if an emergency happens? Shut the fuck up. Like, it's not going to happen. So that's that. That's phone and PC environment. The second one is physical environment. Physical environment is also just as important. Cal Newport in the book Deep Work said that just things such as pictures on the wall could also give you this attention residue that we talked about and hinder you by 15 minutes. Because if you're just wandering about you're at a state in your focus where it dips down a bit, maybe because you're tired, maybe because you're digesting, you're low energy, whatever the case may be. If you look at a picture and you indulge in it and you go down this path of, I wonder what she was, it's like your grandmother or some shit, I wonder what kind of pizza she liked, or you just go down some random thought pattern that, be honest, we all do, you can also lose focus just like that, even though it's not like a digital notification, just random things that your brain can latch onto. If you give it food, it will indulge in it. So the less physical distractions you can have, the better. So that's one thing, just random pictures. But the thing is, there are much, much worse examples than just pictures. Because, for example, my microphone won't come this far. Okay, let's hope it doesn't fucking break. You could also have people, right? How often do people uninterruptedly disturb you while you're working? How often do they come into your room? The worst thing, the biggest tragedy of productivity in the past century, even, I think. Well, maybe it's smartphones, but after that, it's probably these open workspaces. Open workspaces with these offices being not separate. Everyone's distracting everyone. Every single sound is heard by everyone. Every single time someone needs a minute favor, they can disturb you. There is absolutely nothing that you can do about it, because now people are all up in your shit. They're sucking your energy away. They're making you distracted. And it really doesn't help anyone if this is happening. So this is another thing which stops people from getting into flow and actually being productive. So you need to eliminate these as well. And if we think about environment design also, just literally anything. Like your phone is a huge one. And we're talking about physical stuff here, but I said we would talk about this slightly. Your phone has no job being on your desk while you're working. Even if it isn't, even if it doesn't have notifications enabled, why is it on your desk? You're going to think about it. You're going to look at your phone and you're going to indulge in it. It's inevitable if it's there. It's the same thing with, you probably have heard of this or you've experienced it yourself, this phenomenon of if your water bottle is in sight, like it's in your visual field, you will drink more. You can use this tactic if you want. It's kind of cool. But it's the same thing with your phone. Because if you can look at your phone, you're going to start thinking about it. Same thing with the pictures. If you look at your phone and you're going to be like, I wonder what this person's up to. Oh, I haven't checked the weather today. I'm going to go out in 2 hours and I wonder what the weather's like. That's a legitimate thought to have. But the thing is, you have no job looking at the weather right now. Look at it in 2 hours, motherfucker. It doesn't matter what the weather's like right now. It isn't urgent, right? Like the weather app isn't going to crash or some shit. So just make sure your physical environment is also figured out. And I know I said 2, but this is a very, very small, minuscule last one, which is mental. If your mental is all over the place and you're like kind of cooked in the brain dopaminergically, don't expect to make any significant progress, because if it's the same thing. Imagine an addict to some like drug like heroin. If they sit down to work, they're going to have like cravings all the time. If they're genuinely addicted, like they're not going to push through a 2-hour deep work block. And if you're super, super, super fried and you're used to going on TikTok and you're used to going on Instagram, I'm not saying you have to do like a 100% fucking digital detox, but if you're genuinely that cooked where you're used to going on these apps and the work doesn't even compare, because this is what your dopamine looks like, by the way, if you're doing this all the time. This is you going on TikTok and this is you working. If this is you going on TikTok, your brain's going to be like, well, why the fuck are we doing this? Why don't we just do this instead? Why don't we just go on TikTok? And it has every reason to say that, because it thinks that this is very good for you, because back in the day, we only got dopamine from actually good sources, such as food, such as reproduction, and shit like that. So now it's like, oh shit, a lot of dopamine must be a good thing, and now you're drawn to TikTok all of a sudden. I'm not saying you have to never do it. I'm just saying limit it as much as possible. So these artificial dopamines, you know what they are. I don't have to start spewing some fucking ChatGPT advice at you. These stuff like drugs, like junk food, like TikTok, like entertainment, and this kind of shit, just minimize it, especially if you're in a season of wanting to work a lot. That's it. Literally just make sure you lock into the self-determination theory. Make sure you make the thing as successful and as pleasurable for yourself as possible by leaning into competence, relatedness, and autonomy. And once you've done that, just make sure nothing gets in your way. This whole page is about shit not getting in your way. It's not that complicated. If you could just sit down before a session and think about, how will this not get in my way? You can do that, by the way, right now, because you're probably procrastinating working. Yeah, I used to do that a lot. If you can just sit down right now and you can think, okay, I'm going to start with a deep work block, 2 hours, no one's going to disturb me. What is going to disturb me? If you can think about failure as it had already happened, you're going to come to conclusions quite fast. You're going to be like, oh shit, yeah, someone might have walked in my room. Let me tell them not to walk in my room. Oh yeah, I might have not gotten water for myself. Let me get myself a cup of water. Oh, my phone's still on my desk. Let me throw it on my bed. Or better yet, take it out of my room. Anything that comes to mind that might disturb you in the future, you need to get rid of it. And that's the 2 things you need to do. That's literally it. Productivity is shockingly unproductive. Fucking hell. I can't even speak properly. Productivity is shockingly uncomplicated. Goodbye.